Hey guys, my name's Hamza. I'm a final year medical student. If you're something like me, you find it very hard to get a new habit to stick. YouTube's inundated with these 30-day challenges of habits, and I always think to myself, how are these people doing this for 30 days? I could barely do it for 3 in a row. What I believe is that willpower is a finite resource. So you only have so much willpower in a day before you use it all up. And so when that concept was introduced to me in this book I read, The Power of Habit, in the book they explained an experiment. And in the experiment, researchers at Case Western tested a rather strange hypothesis at the time. Is willpower a muscle? An experiment was done to test this, in which 67 undergraduate students were placed in a room one by one with a bowl of freshly baked cookies and one bowl of radishes. Half the undergraduates were instructed to eat the cookies and ignore the radishes. The other half were told to eat the radishes and ignore the cookies. After this activity, the students were told to complete a puzzle, which unbeknownst to them was impossible. On average, the radish eating group quit the puzzle after 8 minutes, while the cookie eaters quit after 19 minutes. Not only this, but the students who had exerted their willpower before in not eating the cookies found the task considerably more difficult and got frustrated more easily. So I understand that my willpower is a finite resource and that I'm generally going to use it for other parts of the day. So when it comes to things like eating, working out, these things aren't a necessity, or used to be a necessity to me. So I wouldn't, prioritize them or see them as super important things to do. And so they would sort of get cast off to the side because I was using my willpower to, for example, study or whatever. So how's it that I went from working out once, a week or every fortnight, and then having times of working out every day and then falling off and then for months not working out? How is it to where I'm at now, where I can, work out every day, and now I crave it. Now I look forward to it, and I need to have it, right? And this is just one example. You can apply this to anything. You can apply this to studying. You can apply this to any habit that you're trying to build up, such as eating healthy or whatever, right? And my answer is systems and environment design. I love this quote from Atomic Habits by James Clear. Every YouTuber quotes, I know. But he talks about how humans don't rise to the challenge, they fall to the level of their systems. To me, what that means is my system is, what am I doing every day? Like what is my lowest bar, my baseline? And every day, how am I incrementally increasing that? And so I believe to make a new habit, which is something that you do every day, which builds your system, I think there's 4 things that you really have to fundamentally understand and, apply to really get a habit going. So your why, resistance, tracking, and reward. Okay, these are 4 things that we're going to talk about as to how these can improve your chances of getting a habit to stick. So let's start with, what's your why? So why are you doing this habit in the first place? You need to think about, what does this habit mean to you? What is it going to build? So let's start with the working out example. Why do you want to work out every day? Do you want 6-pack abs? Do you want to be healthy? Do you want to be strong? Do you want to be confident? What are these things, right? And you need to write them down and know them. And generally, the stronger the reasons, the more motivation you have to stick to these reasons. So for example, for me, why do I work out? Well, it helps me feel better about myself. It helps me look better. It helps me feel stronger. It helps me ward off some of the, aches and pains I might have or whatever, right? And I think the biggest one for me is, it helps me feel like I'm a healthy individual. I think that's the biggest confidence, is knowing that I do this every day, and that's part of my identity. So my identity for myself, it's I'm a healthy individual and I take care of myself. And that, to me, gives me mental health benefits, and it gives me physical health benefits, right? So why? Second reason, tracking. So this is a concept that a lot of people like to make really complicated, and like to get habit tracking journals and like to get big walls like with their tracking of their habits in a timeline. Forget all that. right? Just keep it simple. All I did was I opened up a Google Sheets like document. So in one column, I would have the date and the day. In the second column, I'd have a red or a green signifying if I achieved that habit today or not. And then the third column, simply just a comment, right? So literally easy, just 2 things you're filling in. Did you do it? Any comments? And comments are optional. So to start with, don't try and do the habit every day. Just track what you're doing right now, okay? That's it. So, however long you need, either a week, a month. I think I took about a month just to track. Like, I wanted to see where am I at right now, because that's my baseline. So my baseline, say for working out, when I tracked it, for example, would be 10 out of 30 days. And so that gives me a rough idea of like, okay, what am I doing on the days that I am working out? What am I doing on the days that I'm not working out? Okay, so it's like, you get to sort of analyze. So you're trying to make data sets, right, of yourself and trying to understand what are you doing? What are the right things that you're doing? What are the wrong things that you're doing? So once you've tracked your baseline, then move on to, okay, I'm going to try and do this every day now, or I'm going to try and do this more often, and track that for as long as you need. I remember for fitness, for working out every day, it took me maybe 6 months to get that down packed and made sure that I was doing that every single day. And the key thing here is when you track something, you need to define what your goal is, right? So when I was tracking it the first month, I told myself I'm going to work out 1 hour every day. And that failed miserably, right? So I need to look at either 2 things. Either is that goal too ambitious, or am I just not working hard enough? And for my lifestyle, that was determined to be too ambitious of a goal. 1 hour every day is a lot of time for me to put into working out. So because you're doing it every day, I've justified that I could lower the amount of time. So I tried 20 minutes, then I tried 10. And for me, what ended up working out really well was 10 minutes every day. And what I ended up finding out was, if I worked out for 10 minutes, right? If my brain saw something easy and something small, and and I remember 1 month actually, I made it just 10 push-ups, just do 10 push-ups. So once I started it, it became so much easier to finish it. So what do I mean by that? So when I started the 10 push-ups, then I'd be like, oh, well, I'm already sweating, and it doesn't feel right to not do more. So then I'd end up doing more. And so more often than not, when I would have the time, I would do more. But when I wouldn't, I'd only do the 10 push-ups. And you'll see that reflected in my data when I tracked it. On the days that I was busy, I'd do my minimum requirement, still get a green box. But then on the days that I wasn't busy and I was just being lazy, I'd do the 10 push-ups plus something else. So with this tracking, remember, keep it simple. The more you overcomplicate it, the more resistance you get for it. My general rule of thumb is to max do 2 habits at once. Any more than this, and I think you'll just either burn out or you'll just be like, stuff it. I'm not going to try this anymore. It's too much effort. So the more complicated this process is of tracking and doing all these habit sort of stuff, the more resistance you'll get. And that leads me to my second point, which is resistance. So you need to look at what are the things that are stopping you from doing what you want to do. So I bought myself like a half squat rack, and you can get it for cheap, like $300, right? You don't have to shell out either. It's reducing the resistance. So my current setup literally is in the room next to me, which is my brother's old room, is my squat rack. So my squat rack is in the room next to me, right? And yeah, this wasn't always possible, and it's not going to be possible for a lot of people. But you need to look at what are your excuses on the days that you don't do your habit. So again, for example, for working out, why didn't I work out today? I was cold today, I didn't feel like going gym. Okay, fair. No judgment, that's fine. Put that down as your excuse. And then at the end of the month or end of the week, you look at these excuses and you say, how can I change these or make less resistance to them, right? So for the gym one, for example, it's too cold. Okay, next time on a cold day, I'm gonna put out extra layers, socks, hoodies, beanie, whatever, right? Feel nice and warm. I'm gonna keep the car nice and warm. And then if I can, I'll park on the ground or whatever, right? And I'll be nice and warm until I go to the gym. And then in the gym, generally it's air conditioned or whatever, right? So it'll be warmer. Or you can tell yourself, I don't want to go to the gym. Like myself, I decided to just invest in like a rack, right? because I realized these exercises that I do at the gym, I just use the squat rack. But it's just the idea, it's just the concept of telling you, like, you need to reduce the resistance. The less steps there are and the less effort it takes, the easier it's going to be. So my rule of thumb is, if you can't start whatever activity that you want to be working on or habit you want to work on within 20 seconds from right now, you're not going to do it every day. And I think that's how you get things done without having to use willpower. You just make it easy to do, like make less resistance. And so this lends itself into this concept of environmental design. And this concept was introduced to me, again, Atomic Habits, but it's a very, very important and underlooked idea in habit building. So you need to look at, what is your environment? Is your environment nurturing for this habit, or is it destructive to its habit? Is it increasing the resistance, right? So that's really important. So let's take another example, studying. So is your environment cluttered with distractions, right? So what are the things that are decreasing your focus when you're studying? Is there noise outside, right? What's the solution for that? You can get noise cancelling headphones. Is there a lot of distractions sort of on your computer screen, in your phone? You can get app blockers, right? So it's about designing your environment. So for your goals, you need to also look at short-term goals, right? So for example, for working out, if you say things like, I want six-pack abs, I want a healthy lifestyle, these are things that are built over the long term. But what is your short-term goal? Like, what do you want to get out of every day, right? Or week to week? So in weights, this can be weight progression. But then where I faltered was that once I sort of reached a plateau, it became really unmotivating. And that's when I think you need to pivot and stay in the same discipline, but use different techniques, different training methods. So what happened to me was I really got into calisthenics, and something that I'd been trying to learn for years but failed every time was the muscle up. And last year I took it really seriously and just wanted to work out, my muscle up every day. I did the incremental exercises, took advice from people and worked on it, and eventually I got it. That got me in really good shape, better than weights would have. And why is that? I was doing less heavy weights, but I was training every day because I was motivated, because I would see my progression from, barely being able to lift my body above the bar to finally being able to complete a muscle up. And that took a span of, I think, 3 to 4 weeks. So I had a goal, a short-term goal that I could see. And I think short-term goals that you want to see that are achievable are understated. Okay, and the last thing is reward. Now, reward is an easy one, because a lot of the time you'll notice when you do this habit and you fill in that green box or ticket or whatever, right? Whatever you think will be the most satisfying way to tick off your habit done for the day, that in itself will be a source of like, yes, nice, I got proof of why I'm staying on my habit, and I've got proof of why I study a lot, because I can see it and I'm ticking off these habits. And you get into sort of a feeling of accomplishment. And that day doesn't feel accomplished if you don't make that green, right? Now, other rewards are some things like, if you studied for your day, your reward will be, I understand these things now. Or when I'm in the learning environment, I understand what's going on now. Or when I work out, I notice that I'm stronger or that I look better, right? So these are rewards. Now, these are going to happen regardless when you start doing these things. But all I want you to do now is just to be more aware of them, so that you amplify how good it feels. And it won't feel incredible, but it'll just be like a silent nod, like, yeah, nice, I did this for the day, that feels good, this is a reward. That's a positive feedback loop, and it'll sort of help bolster your reason as to why you want to do it. So you'll start craving to do these habits, which is a really good thing. I think the last thing to know for habit building is that you got to be understanding. And this concept was only recently sort of explained or learned for me, was that you're not going to get your habit done every single day. Even when you've mastered that habit, there's going to be days where you can't do that habit, or you just don't feel like it. And I think that shouldn't be an excuse for you to be like, okay, I didn't do it for like 3 days in a row, I'm not doing it, I can't do this habit. No, you should just understand that there's going to be times where you just can't do it, and that's fine. So it's more about, what's the general average, right? What's your baseline? Is your baseline increasing or decreasing? And there should never be a reason to completely quit. So hopefully those things helped you. This is my first YouTube video and I'm still trying to understand how to relay this information in an easily digestible way. So if you have any tips, please let me know. I'd appreciate it if you liked and subscribed. If you found any value, there'll be more videos to come. Thanks very much, guys. See ya.